Hello, it's me. I'm in California, wondering if anyone is there. It's me. I'm in California. Okay, audio sounds good. Hello, nerds. How are you? I'm still alive. Did you know that? Did you know that I survived after last stream? Bet you didn't. Bet you didn't think I would live. Oh my god. I was thinking like all day about how I even want to open up today's show, and it's just like, what do you even fucking say after what happened last time? I'm glad you're doing swell for it. But yeah, as it says there on the screen right now, I would like to minimize discussion of DokiDoki. I can talk about it right now, which is why I'm a little bit sad that like not a lot of people have shown up yet, because I don't want to talk about this a lot, and I would have liked to just kind of get this out of the way, but whatever. If someone could tell me how to update chat rules, that would be really handy, because I actually don't know how. I was looking for 20 minutes, and I just ran out of time to look, and I just cannot find where I'm supposed to do that. So, straight up ran out of time. Things have just not been very organized today, unfortunately. Speaking of, there's Sophie at the door. We're still on DokiDoki mode in terms of the screen size. 1 second. Gotta let the puppy in. Sophie! She got groomed today. She looks beautiful. But I had to pick her up at a really weird, inconvenient time. So I'm very behind schedule today. Sophie, come back to this door. Sophie! Hello? Sophie? Okay. I don't have time, honey. Sorry. Oh. Also, I want to keep talking about Dark Souls. Because Dark Souls is the most uplifting game in the world to me. Especially in comparison to what just happened. So, let me load up Ballon. Ballon? Is that you, Mr. Ballon? See, I honestly wasn't that big of a fan. It felt emotionally manipulative in a bad way. Yeah. I could definitely understand that. So here's Ballon. Still bowing it up. I really don't know where everyone is. Like, no one has shown up to the stream yet, and I don't particularly know why. Dark Souls is a family-friendly game of Triumph. Yeah, kinda. Like, I'm just here to do co-op and be happy again, because I need it. And even though there aren't a lot of people here, like the only reason why I really wanted a lot of people here early on, because like it's kind of always like this, like there's less people and then progressively more people show up as people share the stream and as people host. Like that makes all the difference for me. So I appreciate it whenever people share it around. It's unfortunate because I don't want to be talking about DokiDoki a lot, and I know a lot of people want to hear further thoughts on it. So just kind of, I guess, in chat, help me inform new people as they show up, because I just don't want to talk about this like 1,000 times tonight. And I'm going to get a little bit real here, so that's your warning. I like it a lot. I think it's a very good game and a very good story. Let me just go check a few things. But, there are parts of it I was absolutely not prepared for, and I don't mean that in like a cool, shocking, like, whoa, what a cool twist kind of way. I mean, I could have done without seeing a lot of that. I've had a long talk with Ari, the person who shared this with me, who felt very bad about putting me and Corey in a bad mood. Hold on, let me close some excess crap. I'm pretty sure it's slowing me down a little bit. Just want to see what this person has. Can I get that from you? No, I can't. Okay, we're not going to bother with the birds right now then. Because there's like 1,000 things that I need to get, and I don't want to make like 5 trips. Just want to check everything I have on this character. That's a pretty good loadout for what I'm doing right now. Spook. Oh, that's right, we need magic weapon or something to that effect. Ah, but we don't need that. What other spell could we really make use of? Because Spook is not necessary. Great Soul Arrow. Let's just have Iron Flesh on standby. It only takes 1 slot. It's handy. And I might have a Bone Shard for all I remember. No. So today we're going to be going to the Crucifixion Woods, one of my favorite levels, and we're going to be exploring the Swamp, one of my least favorite levels. So it's going to be quite a schizophrenic episode, but I just want to talk about this with DokiDoki. I don't know how else to say it. Suicide is the most triggering content in the world to me, especially when it's handled like that. I think that it was handled very tastefully. I don't think that it's necessarily just pure manipulation. I also think that it's totally in a subgenre, in the sense of psychological horror, that is probably not particularly healthy or beneficial for people like me. And I guess that, like, for a lot of people it was very cathartic because they kind of witnessed a lot of people going through similar things to what they go through. And I could definitely respect that. And I'm still glad that I streamed it. But let me tell you, if I was playing that alone, I would have wished that I never played it, because it just kind of fucked me up. I did look up the good ending, and it helps. It does not help as much as I think people want it to. Because, like, you know, I still saw what I saw, and it still had the effect that it had. We can, you know, feel free to discuss it a little bit. That's fine. I don't want it to be, like, the main topic of today, obviously, because I'm about to start rambling about how awesome this level design is in this area, because I really, really like this place. Fuck, I guess I should... That would be convenient to have. I'm gonna go do that Estus thing. But, I guess I'm just, I don't know. It really impacted me. DokiDoki. Perhaps in the way that it was not necessarily meant to, because you have to understand that while that game does do a pretty respectful job of portraying its subject matter, it's also a psychological horror game. And it was meant for a very niche audience, of which I am absolutely not a member. I am not the kind of audience for that sort of thing. So it's not like I'm, like, mad at that game or anything weird like that, so much as, you know, it just wasn't a good idea for me to look into it. And, you know, that's not really anyone's fault. I didn't know exactly what I was getting into. It's fun. Me and Ari have been talking about this kind of stuff a lot, actually, because we both want to make games that tackle subject matter like this, and we have both come to the conclusion that we should probably not tackle it the way DokiDoki did, which is weird because we both respect it and how it handled these things. It's just that the way it was handled was so brutal. And so explicit and so upsetting especially for people who have mentally been in a similar place. Like that tapped into elements of like just my most primal fears in a way that I just don't think I particularly benefited from, to be completely honest. And I know that Aries probably watching and is really upset about this, but we've talked about this, and I don't blame you at all. I understand why you thought that this would have been beneficial. I actually do. Because of the aesthetic of things that I've made in the past that have dealt with things like suicide and depression. Because I talk about that shit in my games and my stories, and even, like, to an extent on my videos, very frequently. But I would never show things like what that game had shown. And I think it's really funny that the horror didn't bother me at all. I think that some people were commenting on that, looking back at the chat log. Just like, people were just like, he's not really scared, he's just sad. And I think that that's a good way to put it. I was much less scared than just very sad during that stream. So I don't think that it's a perfect execution of what it was setting out to do, but at the same time, it wasn't necessarily setting out to be particularly mainstream, and I don't think the developer knows what he got himself into. He seems a little bit nervous about the fact that it's gone mainstream, and he's a very open-minded, kind-hearted person, and he seems genuinely upset that so many people are getting really scarred from it, because that's not really what he wanted. But, it's an interesting topic, and I will check chat now. Dark Souls doesn't open with a great dialogue on the effects of depression, to then cash in for a cheap plot twist. I have noticed that a lot of people in chat have, like, they are a little bit upset. About, like, how this turned out. Which I can totally understand. DDLC was awesomely awful. That's a pretty good way to sum it up. It wasn't ever going to work for you based on what it wanted. Yeah. I think that's a good way to put it. Only just got the notification. Okay, no, maybe people will start coming in then. Hi, Jeremy. Fort, if you are comfortable... Oh, no, I don't think you have the wrong tone at all, Matt. I totally understand what you're saying. If I was telling that story, I would have told it very differently. Like, I don't know, like, if I was just telling a story about suicide, I don't know if I would, like, show such horrible, violent, scarring imagery. Because, like, a lot of the people who need to talk about suicidal thoughts the most are ironically the people who you should never show suicidal imagery to. I guess that sums up everything bad I have to say about DokiDoki, actually. Its warning is insufficient. That is my biggest criticism. It just says people who are shouldn't be played by children or people easily disturbed. You know me, I'm not easily disturbed. Okay? Dark Souls, Bloodborne, that shit is my aesthetic. You need to be more specific when you're talking about such realistic subject matter. And I understand the appeal of not spoiling stuff like that, but I actually think it's a little irresponsible how this game pitched itself. And it's such a tough thing because, again, the developer so did not want this to be super mainstream. Which is why I feel really conflicted about it, because, it's not really his fault. Because, but it's just... I don't know. I think it's really good. I might never play it again. I might force myself one day to just play through to the good ending for myself, just for closure. But I truly cannot bear witness to that imagery again anytime soon. Because it was not good for me. Because I've had that fear of walking in on something like that, or doing something like that. I'm sorry for being so real about that. I really am. I know it's not really tonally appropriate. And I might edit this out of the archive that goes on YouTube, because it's a little... people don't necessarily want to hear this kind of subject matter when they come to a chill analysis of Dark Souls level design, which is what I typically do when I'm solo streaming. I do just want to take one moment to again thank everyone for how supportive they were during that stream, because I'm sure it was very obvious that it was emotionally very, very taxing on me and a lot of the people in chat. People were so respectful. People were so classy. I don't even recall an exception to that. Everyone was so cool. Like the Monica trolls showed up, and that was a little bit like you're not necessarily being appropriate. But beyond that, like everyone was very cool, and it is undeniably a cool game. But like I said, I did like kind of a Twitter thread where I just said, this is not for everyone, and I mean that. It absolutely was not for everyone. Like, if you are very upset by things like that, then you're probably not going to benefit from playing that game. So I hope that clarifies my thoughts. Never mind, he got it. Are you going to play the original Dark Souls? Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm definitely going to be analyzing that at some point. I don't like how it started doing the meta shit. Sound effects guy. It's hard to read your name. Weird color schemes today on the chat. Like the glitches and shit. I didn't really care about that stuff, but I think I only feel that way because Undertale already did that. Yeah, it is kind of played out at this point, isn't it? Like, that's not a new thing. Like, I think you could break the fourth wall and still be original about it, and be emotional about it, even. And, like, just have characters genuinely reach out to the player, even. But some of those visual tricks are very overdone. I mean, you probably noticed that I was not particularly disturbed by the visuals outside of those two very specific moments, because they were handled so realistically. But, yeah. I can't speak for chat, but I always appreciate when you are real. Well, thank you. I think a lot of people feel that way. But yeah. For me, it's my rank 3 game of the year, but I categorize it with Saya in the heavily reserved recommendations list. I don't know what Saya is, but I think that's a good way of putting it. I think that design-wise, it's amazing, but it's like antithetical to me as a human being. And I never thought I'd say that about fucking anything. It's like I acknowledge that it's good, but at the same time, like, I'm never touching that shit again. I will never play that again. Anyway, time to analyze. So, I'm probably going to let these guys respawn. Because it's a little tough to come into this room and talk about it without getting attacked. That's kind of the rough thing. So hopefully you noticed. You know what? Let me respawn, because I don't like how I opened that up, because it was really awkward. I just ran in like, okay, done talking about that shit. Also, if this is where I decide to actually start up the stream, I have a feeling we're going to be talking a little bit about DokiDoki throughout this stream, so if people are uncomfortable with that, just be aware of that on YouTube. But I'm going to stop focusing on it right now. I love this greatsword, by the way. First time using it. I like this character a lot so far. Pretty flexible. Probably not going to use as much magic. Once we get some better pyromancies, it's nice to have some diversity. How much attunement do I have? I have 14 attunement. That's pretty good. And how much intelligence? That's another thing. 10 intelligence, 8 faith. Okay. So, I'd like to take a little peek in here. So, this is one of my favorite rooms in probably the whole game. Actually, this whole area. This entire pair of buildings. These two ruins that lead to the Cathedral of the Deep. Which we might get to tonight. We might just focus on this area and the swamp. Because, I very slowly, methodically analyze the design of these areas. That's how it is. Something that was always missing in the Dark Souls series was stealth. Stealth was never viable in Dark Souls. It was somewhat viable in multiplayer, but it was never viable in single player. So, the inclusion of what you call sentries. You can see that guy near my spell bar, who's holding a torch and he's just kind of staggering there. And up there is a mage. If I go into that room, some of them will trigger a little bit. So, what's cool about this is you can very quickly identify what's going on in this room. The sentries are established extremely early in the game as enemies that walk around with lanterns. So you already know, like, what they are. And once you recognize them, you're never really going to forget that, like, okay, these guys will scream and alert all the other enemies. Which can be a very bad situation to get into. So, the mage is another thing that makes this interesting, because he's always alert, but he doesn't alert anyone else. And he will rain projectiles down at you, or he'll just bum rush you. Because his AI is kind of variable. And you can kind of see how you can just sort of methodically go through, take out a few people in advance, or rush in and, like, risk getting seen. I also have a bow, so that kind of gives me a unique advantage in this particular situation. Eh? He might bum rush me. Gotta be careful of that guy. Not want to get seen by him right now. Do they all wake up? Yes, they do. Yeah, you can kind of see the problem already. As I'm sure you all know, Dark Souls is not a game where you fight multiple enemies at once if you can help it. And even consider it, like, even if this happens to you, you can see it's not impossible to handle. Yeah. But see, like, they're all in alert mode now. But I like it because it presents an interesting scenario that did not exist in the previous games. Can I... Yeah. But, and that's just kind of something I really, really value in game design. And I'm sure that this is true for a lot of people, especially if you like to play through games multiple times. Variability is everything to me. So now we're going to go in and handle this how I usually do. Now, with that room, you can also enter that room from a different angle and handle it in a totally different way. The reason why this sort of thing is so important to me in game design is because it's like the ultimate factor for replay value. Being able to solve the same problem in several different ways is very important. Like, one problem I have with a lot of, like, the Zelda series is actually pretty much my favorite game series of all time, right? But even in that, one problem I always have with the Zelda series is that when you see a puzzle, there's usually only one solution to it. When you think about the combat tactics and the level design in Dark Souls as effectively puzzles that you have to figure out, the game starts becoming, for one thing, a lot easier and a lot less daunting. But it also becomes a lot more rewarding. Because you just kind of think like, okay, I identify the threat, take him out immediately. He's the only other threat. I want to avoid waking up the other enemies. I need to watch out, like, where my attacks go. Things like that. Or if I'm going to accidentally hit people, I need to try and kill them. Because some of these guys will survive 2 hits, some of them will only survive 1. Or die in 1 shot. You can also kind of methodically take them out now. Because, like, all those threats have been eliminated. So, like, that's the easiest way to handle it. And an awkward thing about this playthrough is that, like, I will make certain things look easy just because I'm so familiar with the level design. But, yeah, like, after you methodically approach this situation, you can see how much of a difference it makes. There's just a lot of different ways that this situation can unfold, and I love that kind of shit. We're also going to meet a magic teacher today. It's also just a good physical level, because there's multiple levels and there are projectile users who will stand up here and bother you from a distance while you have to worry down there, so you gotta, like, try to figure out, like, okay, do I stealthily eliminate them all? If I do get caught, like that's a great moment of panic when you do get caught, because you have to like rush out and like try to filter them all through that little hall, which is kind of just a traditional trick that feels very natural. But when you're a new player and you panic very easily because you're playing Dark Souls, you can get overwhelmed thinking like, I just have to desperately try to attack, when in reality you should probably go over here, shield up, use some thrust attacks, and even then you're probably gonna bounce off a wall sometimes. But that variability, like this is one situation, and obviously I'm not going to talk about every situation we come across to this extent, but it's just another great example of why this game is so replayable. Because, I have I have never used a loadout quite like this before, with pyromancy and a bow and this sword. I've never had something quite like this, especially not so lightly armored. This is just a different kind of character, and he's pretty well suited to taking advantage of stealth. Because he's lightweight and has really high damage, and will die in like 2 hits to basically everything. Which makes him a fun character. But, like, that's a good thing. I like that about him. But, with my tanky build, my character called Stronk with a claymore and like a +5 Lothric shield, let's just say he has an easier time playing in a slightly more brain-dead way. I also like how this game rewards you for being very observant, because you can, like, a lot of enemies make a sound. Some don't, some do. Sometimes they provide another kind of hint. But this one you can audibly hear breathing. Like, now he knows I'm here because the visual system in this game that lets enemies see you is pretty good. But they can see you through things if you, like, move around enough. And they can also hear you a little bit. So I'm just gonna take you out. And this is kind of a follow-up to the first room that we saw. Because there's a lot of enemies. The only difference here is that most of them are effectively alert if they see you at all. So, like, this guy's kind of asleep. And if they hear the sounds of, like, something hitting you, a lot of them will wake up. So you just kind of want to methodically poke your head around. Look at what can see you. Run over here. Take out this guy next. Because getting surrounded in situations like this is really bad. And this is another good example of what I was talking about with difficulty escalation. Because you see that there's now 2 mages this time. Now that's already scary, but one of them uses Soul Spear, which does unbelievable damage if it hits. And the only way that it's a really big, slow projectile with a big wind-up, so the only way it's really going to hit you is if you're distracted with other fighters. Which is why this room is so well designed, because, like, no matter how you approach this room, it's pretty likely that you did that room back there, the other stealth segment, first. And you can also just kind of wait patiently to trick people to come behind a wall so that the other guy can't shoot. Cool. But, yeah, so that makes it a lot easier. But it's funny analyzing a game while you're playing it, because it's like, I also don't want to die while I give a... It's like giving a college lecture about gun safety while dodging bullets. That's how this series feels. I like it. I like that about it, but the fact is, like, that room was an easier version of this room, because in this room, everyone is alert. Like, everyone will be alerted individually, and they will all react to sounds of combat. Like, let's see, if I get close to this guy, he doesn't really react, because he's facing the wall, but he will react to combat noises. I want to see which one this guy... Yeah, okay. He's the weaker one, so... And I think that's it. Yeah. Sorcerer Staff. We're gonna go kill the Sage in a second, but we have a magic teacher that we can meet, who I like a lot. And while we're talking to him, I can check on chat. I love this level for a lot of reasons, but I really love all the different nooks and crannies in this area. I also want to talk about those enemies in a bit, so remind me if I move on without fighting another one of those, because I have a lot to say about them. It's not really anything that bad, it's just an observation. How did those guys get there? I've never seen a guy down there. The AI is weird. It's very variable. Mostly in a good way, but sometimes it's like, what are you doing? But a big thing I like about this level is how open it is. Like, there's so many little nooks and crannies for you to explore. Like, on my first playthrough, I never found the path to this magic teacher, because it's just kind of like, I don't know, I guess I just never really glimpsed. I think I glimpsed out here, and it looked like it was just ruins, like you fall. But there is a whole little upstairs area here. And who's... Oh, wait, no, we already got him. That's right, I remember now. Yeah, it's hard to remember what you do on certain characters, but we did talk about him. I just didn't talk about discovering him. He's a cool guy. So, with all that said, I want to check my equipment to see if I have something that's maybe better suited to handling these guys. I can wear something slightly heavier. I don't really have any heavy armor. That is also just worse in every way. You definitely want magic resistant stuff for this place too. And physical to an extent, but I'm probably not going to get hit too much by his physical attacks. A big thing with his character is that he just does not have a lot of health. I'm actually going to summon somebody, just to talk about it. So, he's around here somewhere. There he is. This is Egon, or Egon, whatever the fuck you say it. First of all, I love his armor. I'm mainly summoning him because he's just fucking cool. But, he's one of the characters that is actively allied to you in the story based off your decisions. And he's a fun character. I've made fun of him a lot, but he is pretty cool. Unfortunately, a lot of the NPC summons are not particularly helpful. He's a good example of that. For this fight, this is not the kind of NPC you want. Ironically, summoning him is probably going to make it slightly harder. The only advantage is that some of these enemies will be targeting him instead of me. But even that is not a particularly reliable advantage. Also, we're not going to worry about the Dark Spirit because we're literally about to fight the boss. But this guy, he's going to help. But just because of how much more health this enemy gets based off his presence, he might actually make it harder. I guess I'll really quickly pop a pill. I like this because, like, I found this, like, near, you know what, like, near this boss arena. And it gives a hint that you're about to fight something that does magic damage. When I say hint, I mean it basically tells you. He's really lingering this time. He's giving me a lot of time to wail on him. So the first phase of this guy is ludicrously easy. You know, a lot of people say that these crystals are pointless, but they're really not. I'll talk about why during the second phase, which might start now. Yep. So this is a cool little... I like this fight because it's a bullet hell. And there's not a lot of fights like that. So you can only tell them apart by the color of the magic that they use. The blue ones are not the main one, and they do slightly less damage, but they can still really easily kill you, and they only have 1 health each. So a nice thing to do is toss weak projectiles at them, like the throwing dagger, like you see how that just instantly kills these guys. And if it doesn't, that's how you know you found the real one. Overall, it's just a nice fight. And the thing with these crystals is, they block projectiles. Like, they'll usually break, but they will block projectiles that first time. You're the perp. You're the perpetrator. This guy's also weak to fire, so let's see how much this does. Ooh, yeah, you see how much that does. That can add up pretty quickly if they combo you. Yeah, not as much as I would like. I also don't have great magic stats on this character yet. Oof. Now this... Ooh, this is a dangerous situation. This guy might kill me. There we go. But yeah, overall, pretty decent fight. Not one of the best. You probably noticed how much Egon did not make that much of a difference in that fight. Like, I did probably 90% of the damage. I don't know. I don't even know if he technically makes it easier or harder. He just makes it a little different. Which is a very fun... It's just kind of a funny thing about a lot of fights in Dark Souls. Like, sometimes it is actually harder to have two people. It usually isn't, but sometimes, honestly, I think it makes it a little bit more challenging. But I'm going to take advantage of this time to check on chat. And stay away from Saya. Okay. What are you working on now, YouTube-wise? I am working on Night in the Woods. A symbolism video. It might be a one... I think that might be a one-part symbolism thing, which is very rare for me. But I have very specific things to say about it, so it might just be one video. But, yeah. Also, once again, feel free to share the stream around. It's always appreciated. I also think, yeah, SomeFX guy raises a good point about DokiDoki. I also think that the game was more for people who don't deal with the subject matter of the game, so the imagery is meant to help people who never dealt with the issue so they can better empathize. I bit my lip this morning, so I can't pluck. But that is a very good point. That is something that a lot of people have raised. I also think that it's good because it kind of helped me realize, like, what it's like to put people through me being depressed and people not being able to help me. Because that's kind of what the main character went through in DokiDoki when he was confronted with how Sayuri felt. But, yeah, God. Such a fucking sad shit game. But we're not going that way. We're going this way. Get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here. I think that we did kill pretty much everything in that area, though. I remember now. I need to go fight one of those things. One of the scary boys. The cross boys. The cross with me. I actually think music and sound is the most important part of games. I feel doing it well can push a good game to becoming an amazing game. Absolutely. That's why I wish I was better at sound and music. Because I have very specific ideas when it comes to those things in my games. It sucks being embered here. It's like almost a disadvantage because there's just so many invaders. But let's fight this dude. Because he's a Bloodborne enemy that was effectively exported into Dark Souls. And I will show you what I mean. He might kill me while I demonstrate. So, he's extremely fast and hostile and just so aggressive. He pursues you like crazy. And like in a game like Dark Souls, it's just like, you know, you're not generating enough stamina to keep up with him. And your dodge doesn't feel like a super efficient way to deal with him. So it's a very awkward circumstance, because a big part of that enemy is, like, you can tell that you're kind of meant to have it feels like you're just meant to have a better dodge than the one you have in Dark Souls, because the one in Bloodborne is infinitely better. More iframes, faster, comes out immediately. And in Bloodborne, you get health back from attacking people. So you're it's kind of okay for you to trade blows. That thing it's so aggressive, it follows you, its attacks are so fast, and have a lot less wind-up and visual cues than most Dark Souls enemies. I think it's a very interesting example of how the differences between Dark Souls and Bloodborne is actually pretty severe. Because that feels like an enemy that truly does not belong in this game. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not like he's impossible, it's just he's not very well suited to the mechanics of Dark Souls. So he can feel a little bit, like, obnoxious to fight. Because like, when you fight something like that, it feels like you're supposed to be faster and more aggressive than you can be. I think that's a good way to put it. And it's interesting because they have a few enemies like that, and we're going to be raving about how fucking obnoxious enemies can be, because now we're in the fucking swamp. The swamp that From Software insists everyone totally wants to play through. They've done it like 3 times. Sort of done it 4 times, because there is something a little bit like it in Dark Souls 2, but not that much, just mechanically similar in a lot of ways. So, I hate the swamps. I'm probably not shocking anybody when I say that. Pretty much everybody hates the swamps in these games. I just find it bizarre that they're still in these games, to be honest. So, where to even fucking start? First of all, you got enemies like these slugs. Not particularly interesting. Slow. Not very dangerous. Like, I don't have to dodge when I'm fighting these things at all. And they're everywhere. And they basically serve as an inconvenience. Like, sometimes it's like you kind of just want to slightly avoid you, but you're never really gonna hit me if I'm even slightly conscious as a player. So, right off the bat, like, there's a lot of enemies like that in this area that are just, like, there to be annoying. Like, they're not there to be a challenge, they're just like, well, you're... I mean, these things are really bad enemies, I would argue, because they're literally like a non-entity. Like, these things might as well not be here. I would say that they're that ineffective. Like, I can just so calmly walk up to these things in a way that you can't with any other enemy. Something else I thought was really funny that I saw a couple people struggle with when they were doing blind plays of Dark Souls 3. There's a hint back here. This is a developer message, you can tell by the bell and the language. Extinguish 3 flames and open the door to Wolf's Blood. Do you see that there might be a problem with that statement? Such as the fact that there are 3 flames immediately visible as soon as you read that. I've seen a lot of people, during blind runs, think that you're supposed to do something about this fire because it's right in front of that message. And it's very, like... I don't know. It's almost like the game would be more clear if they didn't have something like that. Like, it's actually, like, the kind of advice that is so counterproductive that it kind of becomes an obstacle. Which I think is very funny. I think that's a testament to the kind of game design that Dark Souls is good at. It's like Dark Souls isn't even good at the idea of holding hands in terms of its game design, and when they do try, it actually makes things less clear. Because they are referring to very specific flames. And if they were gonna do something like that, they probably should have just put a message or in front of the flame, or made those flames stand out more. I'll point them out later. But they're not perfectly implemented in a lot of ways. Always important. The other big factor of this area, as always, is you are going to get poisoned. It has nothing to do with your ability as a player. It's just a thing you have to think about here. I think that in a lot of games I wouldn't care as much, but because this is Dark Souls, it does end up kind of bothering me. Because in Dark Souls, you just have so much say in whether or not you take damage. So even if it is just a minor inconvenience, just the fact that you're like guaranteed to be losing health at a certain point here, or have a very slow, monotonous time, or just munching a bunch of this one specific item over and over again as basically busy work. I don't know, that adds up to being a very disheartening formula for a level, and I don't understand why the Dark Souls team is insistent on that being a good idea. So, I'm probably not going to have a lot of strength on this character, so I don't even know why I'm bothering, but the Stone Parma is one of my favorite shields. I'm going to get poisoned here. Rotten pine resin. We haven't even gotten to the really bad part of this level. Because things get really bad really fast. Oh, I don't like the Dark Wraiths. There's a couple things about them. They practically never get stunned, and they have a very aggressive cheat moveset, and they do way too much damage. I think that that's basically all that you have to say about them. They're very challenging, as you can see. I mean, like, you saw that guy took out more than half of my health bar, but he didn't really do anything to earn that, like, you know? Like, it's just, like, these guys don't get stunned very easily. They have very wide reach. They have a lot of hit stun. They have really aggressive moves. Like, I don't know. They're cool enemies because they're very aggressive and scary. But they're like that guy saw his sword, like, well, I could still get you. I could still get you. 'Tis only a flesh wound. I like the visuals in this area. Oh, also, I know like the poison. And you pretty much like, this is a pretty important thing. This is the Sage's Coal. It allows you to infuse blessed weapons and magic weapons and things like that. I think that it also lets you do maybe poison and bleed. I'm not positive. Which is pretty handy for certain builds. The Blessed in particular has a really big upside that I'll talk about later, because I will be using some Blessed weapons. Probably the Cestus. There's a guaranteed Blessed gem later in the game. Yeah, we don't have one right now, but there's a guaranteed one that we can get. And I will be making a Blessed Cestus, which I always use. There's probably other items that you can use it for, but that's the one that I like. Because it's very lightweight. And it lets you regenerate HP. And I'll discuss the ramifications of having constant regen when we get there. We also have a lot to say about health and Estus. But it's not that much of a problem yet. It's about to be. And if I was a different kind of character, if I was a totally physical character who like relied on melee weapons and bows and nothing else, and I didn't have any magic, because, you know, I do use this. If I didn't have that, then I would have 8 healing Estus when I started. That's a lot for so early in the game, especially since, like, they each individually restore quite a bit already. I feel like the healing system in this game was implemented with the larger level design in mind, because there is a lot of physical space in between a lot of bonfires sometimes. Sometimes it's ridiculous how close they are together. But since there's just such a large, sprawling environment this time around, they really wanted you to just have a bunch of Estus on standby. But once you get to a boss, having that much Estus feels like making the game a lot easier for really no reason. Again, it depends on your build, because if you're playing a magic hybrid like me, or a dedicated magic user, you have to use your Estus and convert it into ammo, for all intents and purposes. Damn, I cannot focus. I have like no... I have never died to that guy. But I guess I should stop talking. I've literally never once died to any of those enemies. I've never been killed by a Gru. That was really weird. Marcus just joined. Hi, Jorbanan. Where the hell is everyone? Like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to worry too much about the view count, but it's a little weird how few people there are. It's also worth noting that all the Gru enemies, those ones with a macaroni face, they also deal the poison buildup. So, no matter what you do, it's pretty hard to avoid getting poisoned. Like, even if you block with a shield, see, it affects my buildup. I don't know. Not a fan. I like these enemies in general, though. They are very cool looking, very aggressive and threatening. They're humanoid without being overly human. Like, I think that Dark Souls 2 needed more enemies like this, because, like, everything was just a human. Extinguish 3 frame. Yeah. Why didn't you just put this message here? Like, why did you feel the need to put the other message? At all. I don't know. Because, I don't know. I don't think it's as clear as it could have been. I mean, visually. Like, they needed that message to show that, like, oh, you can interact with that. Because otherwise it could have just been a decoration. The flame thing seems like it might be something they threw in last minute, so the design feels off, like the lava bed in Dark Souls 1. That's pretty reasonable. Yeah, it takes, yeah. Yes, it does take 3 hits with a greatsword to get any hits done on the Dark Wraiths. They are a little bit ridiculous. Because they just have such a good moveset on top of that. It's like, okay. They're a little bit insane. I don't think they're that badly designed. I think that maybe they show up a little bit too early in the game. Like, I mean, that, because, like, that guy kind of comes out of nowhere. You saw how much of my health he removed, and I am not under-leveled. Like, that's about the level I should be. In this area. So, I don't know. I might be a little low level to fight the boss in this area, but that's about it. We have stance on this, right? Rotten pine resin. I love that bridge. We'll talk about that bridge in a second, because it's very, very cool how they implemented this. Is that? Am I going crazy? Okay. I'm like 95% sure that's not how that's supposed to look. It's like, oh, I love this bridge. And meanwhile, it's glitching out into a hellscape. Yeah. Yeah, that is absolutely not how that's supposed to look. It's weird. I never noticed that before. So, got my bow here. Now, this is the enemy where I'm going to be probably really frustrated because I feel like I kind of need to talk about him. A big running theme of this area is, like, it feels like all the bad ideas are in this level. It's not a great level. I never really look forward to it. It's the only level I dislike in Dark Souls 3, actually. Oddly enough. I like everything else about this game. Bearing in mind that I have not beaten it, but there is very little of it left. Outside of the DLC, which I don't even have. Funnily enough, during this stream series, we might actually get to the point where I just beat the game for the first time on stream. So that'll be fun. But this guy is stupid. I don't like him. If I had to sum up my biggest problem with him, it would be incredible inconsistency, because sometimes he does not get hit stunned, and it is completely arbitrary. So, and his moves are insane. So we're gonna wear him down once, and then you're gonna see what the problem is probably pretty quickly. He has a very overpowered grab. Like, that's very fast. You see how quickly that comes out? And he does a lot of damage with that. Yeah, okay, I guess I'll... And he might kill me. Yeah. He didn't do his jump attack, but he has a very odd jump attack where he just flies into the air, usually evading any attack, doesn't flinch at all while he's doing that. Like, he has crazy poise when he doesn't jump. And then just kind of lands on you, like it's like a homing missile, basically. I'm not big on these guys. You know, they're not horrible, but they're inconsistent because sometimes, like, they just will not get hit stunned, but it's arbitrary. It's not like everyone else where it's predictable. Like, sometimes they just slip out for no real reason, and most enemies don't do that. Like, I don't want hit stun to be something that can be easily abused. Oh, here we are. Here's the movement impeding stuff, which of course does not affect any enemies. Ooh! Oh, the final proctologist. Great sword. How much strength do I have on this character? 14? Okay. We're not going to be using that sword anytime soon, then. I might make it through the whole game with this. Also, I'm poisoned. Due to no fault of my own. I don't like this. I just don't like that, you know? I don't like having my movement taken away because it's just like, hey, here's an element of skill being taken away from the player during these areas. And there's no visual indicator as to the depth of the swamp. Like, you can see, like, is there any difference between shallow and deep? No. There's absolutely no visual indication at all. It just happens. And that's part of what makes it so irritating. Just the fact that you can't do anything to like, outside of just bringing a bunch of the poison stuff, the fact that you can't do much to actually strategically mitigate the consequences of this area is very irritating to me. Because it feels really counterintuitive to what kind of game Dark Souls is. Because, you know, your planning and your skill are what matters in Dark Souls. Your planning is the most important thing. Your skill actually matters a lot less. Because you can totally get hit a lot in Dark Souls games. Like, they're built with that in mind. It's rewarding to dodge on time, but you only have to be okay at dodging to actually beat Dark Souls. And even then, you can really rely on your shield. Speaking of which, we can actually probably get a better shield now because of my strength. But we'll think about that in a sec. There are parts of this area that I enjoy. Like, I like the atmosphere, I like the sound of that guy breathing in the distance, you know. It's cool stuff. I also think that these enemies are pretty well designed. The normal humanoid Gru. Not the crazy beast one, not the elder Gru that comes up later, or the young Gru that run like crazy on all fours. I don't really like any of those three, but these guys with weapons and magic, they work pretty well. I'm okay with them. I'll explain why in a second. Oh, my spine. Whoa! That's actually quite loud, but thank you for it. Always appreciate it. First cheer of the night. Thirsty. Let me read up on chat a little bit. I actually think the swamps would work better if Dark Souls was a series was more overly thematic. It's an interesting mechanical aesthetic, but the game isn't focusing on it at the moment, is it? It clashes with the desire to play it as a stimulating action title. Yeah. I think that's fair. That's the architect's fault. Not the game. Yeah, exactly. Can we still see that fucked up part of the bridge? No, I'd loaded in. The bridge is fixed. So, I like this little area, because basically every character is going to handle this one a little bit differently. Because I have a build that allows me to be a little cautious, I'm going to go ahead and try to wear them down and also lure them out. I think a lot of heavy characters run in and punish like the one that's most threatening to them. And you can do that pretty effectively. You know, depending on your build, it's either the mages or the spears that are your biggest problem. Doing a sits. If I fits, I sits. I am the knight. You are the knight. I use the Blessed Shield and Shine Healing. It does help. I think it's just kind of obnoxious that this area is just so, like, suited for a really specific playstyle over others, because the rest of the game is not particularly designed that way. It's like, you know, yeah, certain enemies are easier to handle at range, and certain enemies are easier to handle up close and personal. But this whole area is just, like, built for cheesing. Like, it's just all about cheesing the level design, because it's just so bad in a lot of ways. I'm also not super big on this room, but I guess it's kind of cool. But it does have something important in it. The meeting of the slugs in the gazebo. They did rent it out, and they did crash their party, so it's only fair that they attack, I guess. I'm not sure if I went there yet, but we'll find out soon. I like that, the little hidden slugs. That's like the only time in the game where the slugs feel even vaguely threatening. Oh my god, I just caught a glimpse of him. I'll talk about the Elder Grew in a second. Now we have a very long trek. I'm playing through Mass Effect 2 right now. It's worse design-wise. It has a lot of flaws. I think that's fair. Mass Effect 2 has extremely linear game design. Level design has never been a strong suit of Mass Effect. I should talk about that at some point. But yeah, a lot of Mass Effect is just reused assets or linear corridors with shooting segments. Level design was never like the strongest suit. But BioWare in general, I would argue, at least in terms of what I've seen, they're not very good at level design. They don't really have any ambition for it, though. So it's not like, it's just like, they don't care about level design, I guess is a good way to put it. Doggo? Are you okay, Mr. Doggo? You alright? You okay? You okay, buddy? Oh my god. So much blood flies from... Oh my god, I'm sorry. Are you okay? You don't seem well. Seem like you got a couple problems. I don't want to join the Covenant at all. I don't want to join any Covenant, really, outside of, I guess, the Warriors of Sunlight. Now here, contrasting all the shit that we just complained about, is actually one of my favorite places in the whole fucking game. For a lot of reasons. It's just a really good area as far as level design goes, and it's a testament to how From makes games in a very interesting way, I think. First of all, it's cool how you come out, it lets you get a good view of all these surrounding areas. You know, you're over there, you got the Cathedral of the Deep, which is an area that we're going to be heading to later. You have some nice visual information that's kind of hinting at locations later in the game, and also some connections to Dark Souls 1, which is something on this bridge is an interesting connection to Dark Souls 1, actually. But it helps you get a good sense of where you are physically in the world. But my favorite part about this is that it's kind of like a little offshoot. It's a totally optional area. There's nothing here that you need. But the game designers were still like, let's just make this a really interesting optional place and put something kind of fucking crazy tucked away here. You know, like this guy. That guy is just here, and I love it. I don't even know what to say beyond just look at him. Tell me that's not fucking amazing. It's effectively a boss. He's kind of treated like a boss in a lot of ways. People who played Dark Souls 1 might recognize our friend here. I'm gonna try to break one of his legs. Ooh. Whoa! Oh no! Oh, don't kill me in one hit. Don't one-shot me, dude. Okay. Looks like I'm not gonna get his leg. Yeah. Oh, I drank. Okay. Must have been one frame off, I guess. I was trying to show off too much. Okay. No one is here. Should I stream another night, maybe? Maybe this isn't the best time to stream. But, we've got 6 people here. Was it called the Asylum Demon? It's a stray demon. It is one of those. It's like the same breed of beastie. And this, I was always a little bit nervous that this was going to be a weird stream because I'm just so, like, not fully recovered from DokiDoki. So I was a little bit nervous about tonight. So, I hope that that's not showing. I am a little bit less funny than usual. But that will get better with time. I really want to get this guy's leg. Yeah! I love that. Oh my god, he lost both legs! I've never seen him lose both. Oh my god, this is sad. Oh! I never thought I'd feel sorry for something like that. Look at all these bloodstains! I don't feel bad about dying to him anymore. Jesus Christ, all those bloodstains, though. But he is a cool little optional fight. You can get some cool stuff for killing him by giving his soul to whatever the fuck. Legless boy. I like whenever you talk to Legless King, he's just like, my feet are here, firmly planted. Meanwhile, first of all, you're sitting. Second of all, I don't see any legs at all. Someone theorized that they cut off his legs so he couldn't flee his throne, because he's the only Lord of Cinder that willingly, who is there without being killed and having his remains dragged there. There's a lot of theory surrounding him. He's an interesting character. Come here, buggo. Large titty shards. You can actually just come here and get some large Titanite shards, and you can, like, that's all you need to get your first weapon upgraded to level 4. But they're still rare enough that you can only really do that with one weapon. So I like how you can kind of rush over to this area and get a really powerful weapon early on in the game and get it all the way up to level 4. Again, I just wish that this game was much less linear. I really wish that it was more open. Because it sucks that you have to... Let's see. In order to come here and get, say, for one, like Lightning Spear, which is, I believe, the... possibly the earliest offensive miracle of any kind in the entire game, which is what I just got here. In order to get any offensive miracle, you have to start up a new game, beat Gundyr, go through the High Wall of Lothric, beat Vort, and then go all the way, like, through the Undead Settlement and, you know, a large portion of the Crucifixion Woods. You have to go through at least half the swamp, and then come up here, and then you can get your Lightning Spear. Like, wouldn't it be nice if you could have an offensive miracle in the meantime? Like, that's probably, like, the most that's the epitome of, like, just how bad the magic was implemented in this game. You just have no options for so long. And there's no, like, design reason that would really justify it. It's just, like, hey, don't use a faith build until, like, you've already beaten the game. Which is very, very dull. It goes completely against that idea of variability that I was talking about before. Now, I think that they're mostly awake, yeah. Okay, that guy died to fall damage. That's amazing. Ooh! Freshly neutered. I don't even know if undead have anything down there anymore. I like how even if you alert the enemies here, it's not, like, super cheap. I should have talked about how, like, that lizard was, like, such a lure. It's funny because it's like, when you see that, it's just like, I don't even care. I don't want to reload just to get that lizard. But it's an interesting level because, you know, just such a big narrow staircase could be a really dangerous place to fight. But it's pretty easy to lure people away from it, so it's not like it's super frustrating or anything. It's just kind of another layer to your planning that you need to consider. Nothing around here. Nothing around here but horrible bloodstains. Wow, people need to get good. I like this one undead pilgrim here. Poor baby. I've always wondered about those pilgrims in general. There's like so much about them that you just don't know. But like this guy evidently got the farthest out of anyone. Because back there, that is actually the entrance to the undead settlement. And this is the other side of that collapsed bridge. Along with the dragon corpse. And it's a very interesting part of the level because it's absolutely filled with implications. In particular, you can see just like how much damage was done to this bridge. Like, it is unbelievable how damaged this bridge is. It's really cool. It's like lopsided at this point. But you can kind of see all those pilgrims over there. That's where we met Egon of Landor. Oh, right. Wrong way. But yeah, I like this area a lot because it's the kind of thing where, you know, I think a lot of other game devs would be nervous these days, at least in terms of AAA developers. They would be nervous about putting all this time and energy into an area that has its own unique optional boss and its own unique visual assets and has so much stuff tucked away. Because, like, when you make something optional, there's always that chance that, like, most people who play your game are never going to see it. And From is one of the few AAA developers that just kind of embraces that and isn't afraid of that. I mean, they make very secretive stuff. Like, there's a lot that we can talk about in terms of the more secretive things in this game, because there's a lot of stuff that's just, like, you were practically never going to see it on your first playthrough. I think that this area is a really good example of the devs kind of showing their hand a little bit too much. I don't think it's particularly... I think it's really hard to deny that this looks like it was thrown in later. Like, this does not look like it was something that was particularly premeditated, because you just look like it doesn't look like it belongs here. It's not even clear, like, what that was supposed to be. Like, what part of rubble this is, because it looks like it's from a totally different surface than anything around here. So, it's heavily implied that there is some part of a place near Lordran. Like, vaguely, I think it is in that direction. I might not be positive, because I feel like it's in that direction. I could be wrong, so correct me if I'm wrong. But there's like a part of, like, I think that there is a part of Dark Souls 1 in that direction, and I think that the developers originally had a much more ambitious plan to have a lot of Lordran included, and they were just like, they probably, I feel like it's a combination of, one, they were pressed for time, and two, they thought that it would be a little bit lame if they spent too much time jerking off the first game. At least that maybe that's my wishful thinking, because they do a lot of... There's a lot of Dark Souls 1 filleting going on here. It looked a lot like the final blow to Ganon. It kind of did. That was pretty cool. I forgot that you get the ashes near the wolf. Yes, I did. Cleric in Dark Souls 3. Yeah, it's so sad. But yeah, lore in level design is Dark Souls' calling card. It's very, very cool. It's very admirable stuff, and it's like one of the as an indie developer, that is probably like one of the hardest things to do because you just have to so carefully design every asset, and it takes so long. Because I work in tile sets. I'm making a 2D game, and it takes so much effort to make original like tile sets, and it's not my area of expertise at all. But it is cool shit. It's worth making original pieces of architecture just to make things stand out. What is that? What is that place? I don't think I ever noticed that before. At least not from this angle. So it's like kind of below the undead settlement. I'm not sure where that is. Does anyone know where that is? Because it looks like some place that I've been. I just don't quite know where it is. Looks interesting, though. I like this view that you get of the swamp. Swamp looks like a much cooler level from up here, doesn't it? Can you tell that I don't like this, like that area? We're not going to be lingering there much longer. But we got some stuff we need to do at the shrine. Aren't the pilgrims by board the ones that got the farthest? That's possible. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I was just mostly talking about... Don't contradict him! How dare you! No. I meant that, like, he was the closest out of that group, out of that area. But like, that bridge, like, it kind of leads to the capital, Lothric. But I think that there's, like, something else behind that bridge that, like, they wanted to lead to a part of Lordran that they were just like, we don't have time. Sage's Call. You've been one for handsome boys and young men, and posing on the cover of swimsuit magazines. Reinforce. Yes. I believe that's all I have. A lot, yes. And let's do... Where's my bow? There it is. There's no reason not to upgrade these things. What was the starting class? Mercenary. Not mercenary. Sellsword, whatever it's called in this. Dragon Crest and Grass Shield, I'm kind of torn between them. They're both really good. Very nice base stability on the Dragon Crest Shield. Grass Crest, it's obvious why I would want to do that, but it also does not have full damage reduction, so it's like, I don't know. I like that, though. I mean, it's tough to pick a favorite. The Stone Parma is incredibly underrated. I'm surprised more people don't talk about it. Its only downside is that strength requirement, which is not that bad, but it's the best medium shield in terms of actually blocking shit. At least I think it is. I'm not positive, but it's really good. And, I mean, just look at that stability. That's insane. It is very heavy for what it is, though. But just the variety of weapons and equipment is really good. Just kind of wish they extended that to the magic, because they really didn't. Has anyone even observed this message? Try hope, you bastard. Poor. My feelings. Poor baby. I really do wonder if this guy was a member of the Undead Legion. I really am curious about that. It's an interesting baby. Some people... I'm curious as to what you guys think about this. Are you tired of seeing this guy? Because he's been in, like, every game. Just the crestfallen warrior. Or some form of it. I think that it's fine. I like it as a tradition because it kind of embodies the idea of players that give up. Which is very good for the theming of this game. Just, like, it's a nice kind of bridge between gameplay and storytelling. Just, like, you know, like, this is people giving up on a very tough journey. A big theme of the Dark Souls games is pressing onward, despite how hopeless things can seem. But yeah, I don't know. I like him as a tradition. I feel like there could be ways to introduce that kind of thematic concept without just repetitively using the same gimmick over and over again. How may I be of service? Give umbral ash, give dream chasers ashes. This is very interesting. Definitely a very sad little moment there. It's hard to interpret the meaning behind that, but it is pretty sad. Now we can get, like, infinite Titanite shards, basically. So, we're also going to grab a couple of these. And we already have some of you? Yes. We'll grab a few of you, just ahead of time. I don't have anything to upgrade yet. It's handy to have a composite bow. We just have so many souls that I don't really need to worry about this stuff right now. I want at least one piece of that. And some feather arrows. There's one thing in particular that I need. So I don't want to go crazy. This is what I want. I also kind of want to get one of these because they're really useful. But, let's go do some bird chores. Let's go talk to the bird babies. I think it's really funny that there exists Rule 34 of the fucking disembodied voice crows. Like, what are you doing? Like, the character that you shouldn't be over-sexualizing doesn't even exist. That's a testament to Rule 34, isn't it? Even if it doesn't exist, people will make Rule 34 of it. Ugh, I dread that sometimes with my own work. Because I'm, like, afraid of my precious babies being ravaged by the internet. So, I have a lot of shit. Something I like is that you actually can just kind of dump everything at once. A lot of people don't seem to know this. They really learned their lesson with the fucking crows. I gotta give them credit for that, because before you literally had to quit out of the game and load back in, like, what the fuck? It's a very obnoxious process. Got some armor. More armor. Thank you. My subscription sound. I should use that for another sound. I might use that for bits one day. What else was there? That's always handy. Because I actually am using something like that now. Oh, wait, no, I can't upgrade that. This takes Titanite scales from the lizards, I think. There's probably other places to get them, but it's hard to upgrade the boss weapons early on. Which is the one thing that prevents them from being super overpowered, basically. So the thank you, very good. I don't know. I don't remember what gives you hello. Okay, there's my hello, and there's the Titanite chunk. Do you guys know of anything else that I can leave? I think that I get something for the bone shard, but I don't want to do that. Like what else? Some devs love it. I'm sure. I'm sure that some devs love the Rule 34 of their characters, but my characters are my children, and only I'm allowed to put them through traumatizing things. Hello, Smoot7. How you doing? Welcome to the burb. Welcome to the burb. And come on and burp. Is there a crestfallen in Bloodborne? I don't know. See, gotta praise that son. Praise that motherfucker. I'm gonna reshare the stream on Twitter, just because not a lot of people have shown up. Oh! Do you like my fashion souls, by the way? I'm like wearing the top of like a sexy nightgown. I'm wearing like snow pants and like a I don't know, rugby helmet and 2 giant iron bracelets. I think it's pretty stylish. Rate my fashion while I share this on Twitter, because no one is here. I feel like I got spoiled by the crazy views that I've gotten recently. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. I don't really do this for like the large enough. Like when the big thing is I want an active chat. That's like the big thing that I care about. So it would be nice to have a few more peeps. Still streaming for quite a bit longer. Do. Yup. Okay. Well, I probably wouldn't be horrified if it happened to characters from my future games, but I would probably be a bit uncomfortable. For me, it's uncomfortable because I have kid character. At least in Angel's Edict, almost everyone is 18 at the very least. There's one 16-year-old that I'm afraid of, but I don't know. I'm sure there will be porn, because I don't know if you guys have seen the character designs so far, but they are pretty charming people. They're charming babies. A lot of people have already waifu'd Annabelle, one of the main characters. Which was not really my intention, but I can see why. Because like, whenever I say, like, you know, like, oh, I don't really like people waifuing this girl, it's just like, was that not your intention? Because she's adorable, and I'm like, okay, I guess. I wanted her to be endearing. But, I don't know. Maybe sometimes waifuism is a little bit more innocent than I give it credit for. But it has some very unfortunate implications for me. Oh, right. Gotta have that subscription notification. Here, just in case we don't get anyone new tonight, I just want to simulate it. There we go. Always a good feeling. Now... Oh, wait, that's right. Oh, actually, no, we can do that right here. Derp. That's about as high as the bonfire level needs to be for quite a long time, since I don't level up my HP a lot. Keep Ruins is probably the most convenient place to go. Man, we really don't have a lot of people here tonight. It is a shame. I probably should have started earlier. I really wanted to. But thanks for stopping by, Zippy. I will likely never make a game, so I'm good. Maybe I'll write a book. They'll still... The rules are the same. The rules are the same for it. Hope you realize that. There hasn't been any game audio? None? Oh. It is very quiet. Is that better? You know what else it might be? People might be expecting me to finish DokiDoki, so they're like, no, get out of here. Let's see. Anyway, hopefully that sounds better. But I think it would be a shame if everyone's just like, man, finish DokiDoki, and it's just like, I'm not doing that shit. Not right now. It's gonna be a while if I ever do it at all. And if I do, I don't even think I'm gonna stream it. Like I've suffered enough on camera, I think. Oh, I have to fight Hazel again. Fuck. I should really turn off online if I'm gonna be doing this, by the way. But we're gonna fight the Elder Grew, and I have a lot to say about them. Also, I just want to say, if no one really shows up, I'm probably gonna call it quits in an hour, so that we have like a nice like 2.5 hour stream or so. Because that's kind of like my bare minimum, basically. But, and it has nothing to do with just the fact that like, oh, no one came. So much as there's just not enough people to talk to, and it's hard when it's like that. I hate you. I hate this I hate this character. I hate this design. Like, look at that explosion. Look at the fact that I can't roll. Like, look at those projectiles that clip through his body, and, like, you can't see them. Look at the fact that I'm rolling, like, I'm fat rolling. I'm vulnerable so often, due to no fault of my own. Look at the fact that I'm poisoned. Look at the spam of these projectiles. Look at the range of his attacks. Look at the fact that your mobility is, like, greatly reduced if you fight him in the wrong place. Look at the fact that his weapon clips through entire trees. Like, how much else do I need to say? It's just bad. Like, there's nothing about it that's good. I hate this thing. Ugh. I do not like those guys. At all. There's, like, nothing about them that I even like. They're one of my least favorite enemies. And they also just do not belong in an environment where you're this hindered. But I just find them very irritating. Yeah, whatever. Up here she is. Here comes Bitch Tits. Affectionate nickname. She is also a very obnoxious person to fight in an environment like this. Because if you get caught out in the swamp while fighting a projectile invader, it's like just absolute hell. Thankfully that guy will not see me if I approach that area carefully. You also technically don't have to fight Hazel, but I will. She's not that bad if you get her on even ground. She's really bad if you're under-leveled, though, because she is super powerful. Unbelievable damage. It's Wednesday, so it is a school/work day. It might be why we are so few. Possibly. It's just weird because Wednesday is my established I always stream day. But whatevs. Oh, man. It's also worth noting that I will never ever do a stream anywhere near as long as that one. I like this secret a lot, by the way. It's very cool. Not much else to say about it, just like, really rewards you for paying attention. Hazel's still around. No, we really need to get rid of... Yeah, okay. He has like a stealth thing. She, whatever. I think it's a woman. She's gonna like, here's Johnny me. She's gonna break down the barrier. No, you come to me. Look at how much damage she does. Kind of insane. Ugh. She can also, like, one combo me with the pick. Okay, well, she's out of healing at least. It's kind of fun to, like, circle around her like that. Oh, I never beat her the first time. I don't think I was embered in the other area. But I might actually use the Hazel pick on this character at some point. It's not really that likely, but because I'm probably going to lean more towards Pyromancy, as always. This guy might kill me. I wanted to do the jump. Yeah, look at that shit. It's so dangerous. Okay, how did that not hit you? Man, I'm gonna be so happy when we're done with the swamp. I might not even clear out the swamp and do everything. There are some interesting things around this area. I forget what this place most likely was, because it was probably a place of Lordran. It might have literally been the swamp, and this is what came of it eventually. Ugh. But yeah, there are some pretty interesting implications about the item placements in this level. But yeah, welcome to the most obnoxious area possibly in the game. Very easy to die here. So, we got basilisks here, and you're constantly losing health anyway, and you can't move. So, they just make these massive fog clouds that will kill you with curse instantly if you linger in them for too long. Like, see, they cover a large area, and due to the nature of the smog hitbox, it's hard to determine, like, where it is. Plus, you have such reduced movement. Like, look at that. Like, a lot of people can die to the curse, because as soon as that curse bar fills up, you're dead. Yeah, with projectiles it's a lot easier. I just kind of wanted to demonstrate how scary that can be when you're melee only. This is also a really cheap trick. There's no real indication that this is a complete dead-end corner. And the Basilisk can actually corner you in here, and you're just fucked due to really no fault of your own. I've seen a lot of people die that way. It's just like, I don't know, like, this is like, what, did the intern make this corner? Like, why is this in the game? That's probably one of the worst little bits of specific game design. Also, no one likes doing this, you know? Like, I don't know if Firm realizes that, but, like, no one likes just rolling through muck. It's not fun. I believe that this takes me back to the beginning of the area. I just want to look around for items. It doesn't seem like there's anything. Yeah, there's nothing. So we can go back. Explore the other side of that area. Isn't this riveting gameplay? Have you ever wanted to simulate the feeling of walking through raw sewage and tripping every time? The answer's no, From. Nobody wants this. I'm about to lose the poison effect anyway. Fuck, 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 fuck. Oh my god. What a trick. It's like they consolidated all the most obnoxious mechanics in this game in one place. I still don't think that this is as bad as Blighttown, because Blighttown, first of all, it's technically bad, because it's just, it always lags a lot of computers, and it always lags on home console. But it's also, like, the base level of Blighttown is the worst thing in the Souls series for me, because it's just nothing. There's nothing interesting there. At least with this, there's interesting rewards. There's interesting things to find, and it's not like every enemy is bad, but most of them are pretty annoying to fight. It's not really rewarding to fight them. It's just like, ugh, you're kind of obnoxious. Like these things are just pests. That's a good way to put it. Not a fan. Do you think that areas that hinder your mobility in this way are inherently badly designed? In this situation, yes. I mean, I'd have to think of an example of something like this being good, but any situation in which a lot of control is just, you know, objectively taken away from the player, I think that that's probably a bad situation, you know? Like, I'm okay with that being a hazard, but I don't think it really suits a game quite like Dark Souls. I don't know. I mean, I say that, I feel like they just could have implemented it better. It's not like it's a horrible idea. I think that it's reasonable to be like, you know, like, hey, here's an area where you will often have less movement, you will have vulnerability to damage, you know, you'll take poison damage over time, very likely. So it gives you a lot to worry about. But just the fact that there's no visual indication for the depth of what you're getting into, the fact that a lot of these enemies just don't feel like they're built with this area in mind, the fact that it doesn't give a disadvantage to any of the enemies, the fact that they're all so fast, the fact that, you know, one or two of the enemies in this area, I would argue, are just kind of, like, badly made, like those guys. Like, I just don't like anything about them. I'm curious as to how other people feel about them, but, you know, I've beaten them plenty of times. You know, I can take them out pretty easily. When I'm not distracted by talking, I'm a lot better at fighting those. I haven't died to them in a long time, but I would still argue that they're badly designed. Their projectiles spam everywhere. They kind of clip through the environment. They can clip through their bodies. Their weapons clip through the trees. Their particle effects and things like that, like, will really catch you off. They're very big and very interesting, and it feels like enemies like that are best suited for the large, mostly empty areas. Like, all the enemies in, say, on Orlando in the first game are like, a lot of them are very large and intimidating, and they work because there's never a point at which you can't see all of them, and their weapons aren't constantly clipping through things in a really awkward way. So it feels okay that you're fighting something so massive that has such a big reach. But in this, they feel so fast, and you're so slow, and they cover such a wide range, and they summon projectiles for basically no reason, and those projectiles are hard to predict because they can clip through its own body. I don't know. It's just like this weird hodgepodge of ideas that don't really make sense together. That's how I feel about it anyway. But, we see me rolling, me hating, patrolling, pests trying to catch 'em riding slowly. That's a new hit single. And no, I'm not bored, I just feel for MC. Yeah, kinda. Thank you. It is a little rough. Maybe I should rethink my schedule a little bit, because like the difference between this stream and the ones on the weekend, like, not even DokiDoki, like, I knew that DokiDoki was probably going to be pretty popular, but even my my recent, like, this is the least viewers I've had for a really long time. It's kind of weird. So I don't really quite know what's so different about today, because, like, I've had a lot better days on Wednesdays. It would be cool if a game pointed you towards the ring that lets you walk in the mud before this area. Gives you the option to complete an area to get that ring first, or just do the swamp. Yeah, seriously. But yeah, I'm just not a big fan of this area in general. And we still have more to do. We're almost done with the swamp itself, though. See, like, look, there's no visual difference between the shallow and the deep. What do you have? Moss fruit. Very rare drop. Doesn't really help that much, though. So this is an interesting little thing. You got the golden scroll and the antiquated set. It's cool because it's like, could this be an old deer? It's kind of a reference to, I don't know why I can't remember her name. I don't think it's, no, it's not that. I can't remember her name for some reason, but it's a sort of a reference to a character in Dark Souls 1. It could be a different person, but there was a sorcery teacher who used that set and taught those sorceries. So, like, look at this shit. Ugh. I really don't want that guy to find me. Okay, so that's where we are. Let's go rest of that bonfire. I want to see how crazy this can get if I just toss this into that room. Oh, that's nice. That's pretty satisfying. Oh, we should probably deal with that area. Let's get stocked up. I like this because it was the first moment when I realized it's just a cool moment, so we'll just go check it out. I don't want to explain too much about it. Swamp areas have been overused in Dark Souls. They are everywhere, man. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely unnecessary. Like, I just don't understand, like, From's insistence that this is an area that, like, people want to revisit. Like, just on top of the fact that, you know, like, we've already done this, you know? Like, this is just larger, obnoxious in a slightly different way Blighttown. It's not like it's really doing anything new. I'm inevitably going to get poisoned, so I might as well stop caring. I love the camera in this game. It just kind of does its job. It clips through enemies too much, though. The bigger ones. It's good to have complete control over a camera in a game like this, though. You don't want it to do anything that fancy. So here's a really cool moment. I'm gonna try to... At first, when you encounter this guy, it's like, oh god, I can't possibly fight this thing in this kind of environment. But... with the power of friendship... It's so cool, I love it. Come on, do it again. Yeah. Oh. Oh shit. I don't like how it's invincible during that. So that is a very cool moment where you realize that the giant can see every white tree. Okay, there we go. I'm not going to pick the other one. If you pick every branch, then the giant does in fact die. Which I think is interesting. And it makes it pretty clear why the giant protects the trees. He has a symbiotic relationship with them. It doesn't make sense that that's true, but at least there's an explanation for what his motivation is. I don't know, like, how much it makes sense that... I guess that a lot of giants have had, like, a connection with trees. Like, giants can kind of turn into trees when they die. It's interesting stuff. Oh my god, I hate that! Look, there's no visual difference. Like, maybe there's more... No, there's, like, lily pads everywhere. It just so happens that they're not here. It's obnoxious. I hate being poisoned here. I really should have just thrown a dagger. Saucy. So these are the poor shroom friends from Dark Souls 1. Always one of my favorite enemies just because of their design. So it is kind of sad to see them like this. But they give a pretty useful scroll, which we'll share with a friend. And then we're pretty much done with this area. I'm just gonna go the fuck back to the shrine. The focus on crabs I can get behind. I do love the crabs in this game. They're pretty cool. Hey, are you on my side now?
Hello again. I have since heard a great deal about you. For one, that you are most gentle of heart. I, too, am bound by duty, but can offer you my sign. I hear that cordial intrusion lays the path to embers. If I can be of help, by all means, do call upon me. Blessing of the moon upon your journey.
Cool beans. So, what should we do here? Oh, right. All the magic stuff. That's the main thing. So, I think it's really sad that I'm going to give him all these scrolls. I'm going to have access to so much magic, and I still might not find anything that I actually need.
I suppose this means you're after sorceries.
Sage's Scroll.
This is stupendous. And the undead legion of Farron possesses sorceries quite unknown. Thank you for upholding your end of the bargain. I doubt I ever would have made this discovery alone. Now, let us unravel the thing, so you may put these new sorceries to use.
10 points to Gryffindor. And those flash swords should not cost that much for what you get.
Oh my. Well, this is very unusual. It's from Ulysia, an ancient land of golden sorceries. Not even the Dragon School possesses such a long-lost scroll. What would the Xanthus scholars say with their ridiculous headwear? They would simply slaver over this fight.
Fuck yeah. So, is there anything that I need that you have? No. That's nuts! Isn't there another scroll, like the Crystal Scroll or something? Maybe that has something good. But, like, none of this is, like, oh, like, hidden weapon, like, okay. Like, repair, yeah, that's I'm gonna use a spell slot on repair. I don't know. It's kind of obnoxious. Hidden Body has a use. I'll take Hidden Body, I guess. If we combine Hidden Body and Smirk, then we could be really we could play Stealth Souls.
Come again.
Let's try Stealth Souls. Let's see how that works. Like how well hidden you can be. I might actually. Well, we'll see. Oh.
You brought me a Braille divine.
I like the Braille tomes.
Now I can tell new tales of miracles. Tales of the greater miracles can be quite the epics. What fun we will have.
Do you ever use heart attacks? I almost never use them in Dark Souls. I use them. They're useful. They have their place. I only really use them when I have a big chance to just obliterate someone without them noticing me, really, though. Even in PvP, they have their place, because you can throw people off. Actually, I'll talk about that in a second. Oh, no, I already have that. Stock fully depleted, cannot buy anymore, okay. I don't need any of these.
Have a pleasant journey.
Why? What do I need the least? I really don't need to keep using that because my Estus is so good now. So, let's try Spooky Souls. Very stealthy. Fists. I hate having a bunch of stuff. Just look at all this. Like, I can guarantee you that I'm gonna accidentally hit the wrong thing all the fucking time. But, I like how you can use charge attacks to fake out people. Because you can charge them, and you can, like, not charge them at all. You can fully charge them, or you can do something in between. That's a good way to fake people out. So that is really useful, especially in PvP. And it makes it so that charge attacks aren't overly punishing, because you can release that anytime you want. But, I also need to remember that I have that. That stuff is mostly useful in PvP for me. Because it's just a move that can catch people off guard, it can fuck with shields, etc. You get a lot of poise for that. Let's see. Tune. Spook. It's racist. Hidden body requires 15, which I totally do not have. Feck. Oh well. It's not really worth it in that case. We'll experiment with that later, I suppose. Yes, that's fine. The Lingering Dragon Crest Ring is pretty handy for certain things. What did I have equipped? Estus. We don't need you. So, think about that later. A Dun spell. You know what? That's actually handy. I might try the Abyss Walkers. That might be how we end the stream. I might die to them, though. I'm just warning everyone right now. The next segment is pretty cool. Crystal Skull? Crystal Scroll is what I meant. Oh, man. Oh, God. But yeah, and with that, we can finally tell this shit to go fuck itself. We're done with the swamp. Now, I like this area. There's a very cool little moment that really caught me off guard here the first time. So, I like this because you see all the worshippers there. This is yet another example of the stealth stuff. I love how they bounce up like that. But this is another example of, you know, if that guy sees you and alerts everyone, then you're going to have trouble. I think it's kind of obnoxious that this whole type of enemy exists so that you can be like, you know, you're supposed to take them out one by one really methodically, or else they're going to kill you. I don't like that as a concept. It's very obnoxious. Because, like, once they spawn out, it's just so hard to predict their movements. I think that the whole point of these guys is that, you know, you have to eliminate the sentries, which are these guys, these mages, that will scream and wake them all up. Like, that's kind of the gimmick with them. But it's just very annoying. Because once they transform, they just kind of feel really unfair. Oh well. I don't know. I feel like that one's a little bit too extreme, the design of those enemies, because it's like, on the one hand, I kind of get the idea of really rewarding people for playing stealthily, but I don't know. I think that it could have been handled a lot better. I love all these weapons here, strewn about. So let's see if we can get a good glimpse of this area. Yeah, you see, when you first show up, I like how they're throwing shit at each other. The Dark Wraiths will actually fight the Gru that are stationed here. So you can wait for them to weaken each other, and you can side on... You can basically, like, kind of pick temporary sides and side with the Gru. That guy quite possibly sees me. He's scaring the shit out of me right now. I'm good at games. Yeah. Oh my god. So aggressive. Oh my god. Ah! Dark Gauntlets. I'll check that in a second. But yeah, it's cool how you can like kind of use them to wear each other down. Most of the time you're going to be fighting the Dark Wraiths because they're just so strong. Oh my god. Oh, I might die. Okay. Oh, I don't like them. I really don't. Very obnoxious enemies. Do you know anything about Xenoblade beyond the exaggerated character models? Not much, but I also know that I could never look past that. I know that that is a deal breaker, if that makes sense. Like, I look at that and I say, like, I will never take this seriously, and it ruins the whole game. I think people tend to underestimate how important character design is in that sense. Like, you're gonna be looking at these people talking the whole time, and if I'm just gonna be snickering or rolling my eyes, it's just gonna ruin the story. I'm having a similar problem with one of the most recent Tales games. In Tales of Berseria, Tales of Berseria, the main character looks like a sexy vampire lady wearing basically no clothing. And there's no real thematic reason that she continues to look like that past a certain point. It's really laughable. So just the fact that she looks like that in the cutscenes is very distracting. Oh, I just want my souls. Well, let's watch the Fight Club, I guess. Look at them. This is totally just one-sided. I don't even think they can get poison. Look, they like two-shot everything. Dark Wraiths feel like they belong in a totally different area. But I do like that segment because it again advocates stealth and just like kind of relying on the enemies taking each other out. Which is a cool little hint to how the Abyss Walkers work. The Abyss Watchers. I keep on calling them the wrong thing. But I love the Abyss Watchers fight. The problem with the Abyss Watchers fight is that it's incredibly difficult to talk about it while you're fighting it, because it is a very demanding fight in terms of your attention. I just love their macaroni art faces. Jesus Christ, you got problems, dude. Why do they look like that, man? I feel like I need to throw his head in and boil some water and soften up those bites. Get a little Parmesan. I might actually be able to use this to upgrade my sword. So I love these crystal lizards. They have such a cool moveset. They're so big, they take up so much space. The way that they move is very creative and interesting. It's like this is one of the most well-designed enemies in the whole series for me. I do want to show off his moves a little bit. I'm killing him very quickly. But, just the way he summons crystals, that roll, I love that roll. It's very funny. And you don't see it coming. And I love these guys because it's just like the revenge of those cute little lizards that you always kill to get their treasures for the upgrade materials. Like, this is the revenge. You still think we're helpless now? Well, yes, actually, because I'm about to kill you immediately. 2 Titanite scale. I wonder if it always drops 2. Reasonably useful spell here that I'm not going to use because I can't enchant this weapon. At least I don't think I can. But yeah, that's just a little shortcut. We've already dealt with that whole fucked situation over there. Can I wear these? They're pretty decent. I might have to equip some fire resistance stuff. We will probably summon a phantom to help us. Did I like this? Yes. Okay, I thought that guy was just there. Like, sometimes the phantoms really do look like they are just here, you know? The little ghosts. I like it, though. Didn't even land a hit. I mean, I know. I just know him very well. I realize that maybe that contradicts how much I hyped him up because he's such a fun enemy, but I just know those enemies so well. Because I always fight the lizard at the beginning of the game. So I'm just really used to that moveset. So that's how you're supposed to kill him. I just cheese the boss by hiding behind the door. Yeah, I can definitely... Yeah. Whatever works, man. Dark Souls is a game that you can totally cheese and, like, not feel that bad about it. It's okay to do so. Like I said, it has a lot more to do with strategy than skill, I think, and that's fine. Then we're just gonna use a homeward bone because... No, I'm not going back to the swamp. I think we can spoil ourselves and level up a little bit. I really need vitality. Maybe some health. Possibly strength. Yeah, let's spoil ourselves a little bit here. I would like to be able to use a stone parma. I have all these. I always do this, like sell the souls instead of consume them individually because it's so much faster. Soul of a Crystal Sage gives me an okay spell and a really bad rapier, but that rapier has a really nice side effect of boosting the amount of souls and item drops that you get. That, we need to use that. We need to use that right now, because I think that that gives us Havel's Ring in this game. Why? But why, though? Hello.
Aha, thou returned, and a fine day it is. So, happened upon any twisted pursuit?
Why, yes, I have. Havel's Ring. Very handy. And I will never need the other stuff that comes from him. I think that's the only other thing that you get. It's not like, that's not that, like, it's not useless, but it's very slow and predictable. It's not nearly as strong as the version of the Boulder Heave that he does, which is a really cool move. It would be overpowered if the player could do something like that, though. If you guys remember that stream of boulders that just fucking obliterated me when I fought him. Yeah, you just throw one, I think. I do like how it's called Boulder Heave, like you throw up a boulder. That is pretty fun.
Tis good, wasn't he?
No Estus Shard. Reinforce my Parmesan. Reinforce my Parmesan shield. Gotta stop talking about this, I'm hungry. Haven't eaten dinner yet. No Parmesan.
Welcome home, husband.
I actually got a cheesesteak. Spoiled myself today. Insert Marth noises. Yeah! Yeah! How many levels were that? 4. I believe I leveled up 4 times. I want to see how much it takes to level up one more time. So I might not be able to even do it, yeah. I really need one more vitality.
Farewell, Ashen.
Can I sell anything? Um, I don't really want to dive into selling that. Oh, right. I keep on forgetting. I do so much co-op that I can honestly just sell embers, because I know I'm going to get a bunch later. And I do want to play around with the Brigand Twin Daggers. So we're going to keep those. Do these bleed? No, they don't. They're not very good. Just looking at them right now, like, they don't look very good. I'll mess around with them later. Great machete. Great axe. It's not much point in selling weapons, because it's like, yeah, you might want to experiment with them later, and you basically get nothing for selling them.
Very well then.
Where's the next Estus shard I can get? Probably at the Cathedral. That's a pretty good place to go. I think I'm just going to try the Abyss Watchers now. I'm not sure if I'm really ready. I'm a decent level. The main thing is I have no health. But that is not a lot of health. Like, I think that the Abyss Watchers can easily two-shot me. Which is a problem for them, because they combo like crazy. But I do have the advantage of being able to use this. I do have to reduce my carry weight a little bit. Ugh. It's really weird how the 70% works. Just every now and then it's technically too much. Those gloves. Not even it's just lace. So, look at that. I'm like wearing lingerie. Like, these are lingerie gloves. Okay. Decent. You would think that the Firekeeper would resist fire more than that. I guess that is pretty good fire resistance. You want to balance out fire and physical resistance for the Abyss Walkers. Watchers. I keep on calling them Walkers. I don't know why. Man, I'm excited for Octopath. It does look really interesting. Let's see. I hadn't heard of Octopath Traveler until Corey's stream. It's really cool. You should watch it. It's archived on his channel, Modest Narcissus. Oh. Oh. There it is. Squadala. We are off. Do you guys like memes from 2007? I don't know. YouTube poops aren't memes, they're a way of life. So this thing is crazy stability. And I did upgrade it twice, right? Yeah. So let's check that stability, actually. 59! Come at me. Also, I can use my weapon art whenever I want now. Which is good, because I don't really parry. Come on. I want to see how much my stamina goes down. Oh, that's nice. That is nice. I love that sound effect, too. It's just like, you are hitting a wall, sir. You might as well be attacking a wall. I like that. I like that a lot. That's good. I do like this shield. I also like the way it looks. Just a nice design. Just, the art direction in this game is incredible. Just so detailed, so worn down. They could have made this game look disgusting, but there's such a beauty in the decay of the Dark Souls games. Like, no one makes ruins quite like From. Like, all these places feel so storied, and you really wonder what it was like when these areas were at their prime. They're just so beautiful and overgrown and wild. It's awesome. Just everything in this series reeks of history. Yo. The ultimate challenge. The ultimate challenge! How did they... Oh, okay. It's a lot easier than I thought. Treasure ahead. Hey, you're my treasure. Treasure this moment. Where you got on top of a weird piece of rubble. So this is a really cool part. Just like... I gotta sneak by. Let these guys fight it out. They're not using the dark swords. What kind of weapons are they using? Maybe they are the dark sword and they just have a weird model at range. God, they do so much damage. So one-sided. Ah, you killed me! Good. YouTube Rewind is a poor man's YouTube poop. God, I hate that shit. Old Abyss Watcher hobbling around with the walker. Oh my god, yes. The Abyss Walkers! And they're like just old men with walkers and canes. And they just yell at you. Like they don't even fight you, they're just like, back in my day, we didn't have 7 Estus. We had to make do with 5. I'm getting pretty strong. Yeah, primarily scales with dexterity. We will be raising our dexterity a lot more than our strength. Because this is a dex character. After the Abyss Watchers, we're going to level up again. Because since this is a single-player run, for the most part, I don't care about leveling up that much. We'll do some co-op. While we can. I hate the matchmaking in this game because it's based off your soul level and your weapon upgrades. Which is weird because those are honestly less important than a lot of the things you can get away with min-maxing. So you can like go into a host's world at the High Wall of Lothric, the first area of the game, and you can have more Estus than the host and a Phantom combined. You can have more healing, you can have a much more powerful weapon, because there's such strong weapons late in the game. You can do the DLC if you're skilled enough, like at a low level. It's not a good scene. I don't know. Like I said before, it's so rare that I see a PvP session that feels at all fair. Could very easily end up in a bad situation here, so we're gonna take our time. Come here. Anyone over there? Yes. So the Dark Wraiths are... They are triumphant. They're probably both alive. Oh no, they lost! That's very rare that the Dark Wraiths lose that exchange. They just do so much damage. I like how it's variable, though. Like, sometimes they win, sometimes they lose. And you can intervene in that fight at any time. Whoa! Whoa! Whoop. I don't know why I didn't lock on. Why is that guy getting hit? What? Is it just clipping? Like, is it just going between his legs? I guess. Okay. Oh yeah, let's get our friend. I want his taunt anyway. I like this. You get something pretty nifty here. If you summon this guy. It's just a little emote. It's nothing major. But it's one of my favorite emotes. Oh. And we killed each other every night and danced on each other's graves and sung. Hallelujah. Oh. And we killed each other every night and dance on each other's graves and song hallelujah. It's my favorite song. I love Welcome. It's a pretty good one. Ha-ha! That's just like a da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da little victory pose. Where's the other Dark Wraith? Because they usually drop things. I don't fucking know. Okay, let's see if we can beat Abyss Watcher's first try. It's really hard to talk. I love the build. The build up to them is great. Because, like, approaching this place with like, you know, sneaking around, it's so nice and quiet and atmospheric. Like my fucking Discord. I'm streaming, Corey.
Thank you for calling the Modest Narcissist Help Hotline. For English, please press 1. Para Español, and número 2.
Where's the fuck off option?
I'm sorry, I don't recognize that command.
Yeah, I've noticed.
Have you considered trying going fucking yourself? I like fucked that up.
Going fucking yourself.
Have you tried going fucking yourself? Have you tried going to fuck yourself? Have you tried fucking yourself? Have you ever tried fucking yourself?
Yes.
What?
I didn't know this was
what?
I didn't know this was a confession stream. Anyway, what do you want? I don't want to do. I don't want to do co-op today.
Oh.
I'm probably gonna finish this pretty soon, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, that's why I was calling you. I was seeing if you know how long you were gonna be going for, and you know maybe if you're gonna be you know like another hour or so. I was gonna pop on in, maybe you know just kind of hang out. I guess since you didn't want to do co-op, I just kind of hang out in the background, maybe just kind of stare at you and watch you like a creep.
I'm doing game design analysis.
Man, who has time for that shit? Ain't nobody want to talk about that. They just want to see you play the game.
Yeah, no one came
No one
today.
cares about game design. It's like, hey guys, you want to watch me talk about my Legos? I'm sorry.
It's just show up, you insult my stream. Get out of here.
I'll talk to you later. I just thought I'd pop in a little bit, you know, mix it up. Gotta keep
Okay.
you on your toes.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. Like, way less people showed up than usual, sadly. I think that maybe people... I don't know, maybe it's just a bad day.
Maybe people were only around for the doke, you know what I'm saying?
They definitely weren't, because it wasn't that much more than I usually... It was a lot, but I usually get, like, 35 people, but and it's only 8 now.
Oh. Well, you know, they can't all be good.
Yeah, I definitely need to stream earlier. I started at, like, 6:30. I didn't want to, but I had to pick up Sophie because she got beautified.
Oh.
She's-
Wednesday's like your normal day, right?
Yeah, it's weird that no one showed up.
Yeah, well, you know, like I said, they can't all be good streams. I've had my share of bad streams, but, you know, my average is, like, under 10, so...
Yeah. It's all good, dude. But I do it a lot more, so I was hoping for more, but whatever. It's okay.
Yeah,
The people who are here are very cool. We've been having...
That's cool. You know, I'd rather have quality over quantity, to be honest.
I mean, I guess... I need to fight the Abyss Walkers now.
Well, that's great. You know, that just tell your viewers that they're just a number to you. That's all. They don't matter.
What? I didn't even process...
No, because I said, you know, quality over quantity, and you're like, I guess. And I was like, well, then just tell your viewers that they're just a number to you.
I mean, I guess I'm gonna hang up now. He's a gem. It was an invader, wasn't it? Gotta love the sportsmanship of invaders. It's like, oh, a clearly AFK player. Oh, God. Corey literally just killed me. Corey literally just killed me. Did that go well, MC, when you tried that? What? Tell Corey I don't know who he is. Sportsmanship in this game? Yeah, seriously. That really does suck. A waste of an ember. But yeah, once I try the Abyss Watchers, I'm probably gonna end it right there. Because I don't want to do too much more. Because I'm just not good enough. But yeah, in case it wasn't obvious, I was completely looking away from the screen while I was talking to Corey. Oh my god. God. So obnoxious. I hate these things. Okay. He lost the fight. Didn't want to do that. I just didn't want to do that. Okay, whatever. I'm embracing it. I was trying to kick. There we go. Kicks and jump attacks in this series have always been like... Ugh. You have to be very, very intentional about it. Man, these games have such a complex moveset. Anyway. Let's waste an ember and kill the Abyss Watchers. Why? Tried fucking yourself? Does seem like a pretty good strategy. Whoop! Let's see. So I like the build-up to this fight quite a bit. Very quiet and atmospheric. And then you just slowly hear things getting louder and louder with the fight. What? Okay, you don't need to fight that guy. Get over you. You heard me. Good. I want your weapons. They look pretty cool. Anyway, this is a very cool fight. A lot of implications. A lot of atmosphere and mood. Very interesting stuff. I kind of wish that you could see them fighting when you first open the door, but that's just not how it works, I guess. Okay. Definitely one of Miyazaki's best boss fights. The Edgelords. In their natural habitat. Whoa. I love that opening. They're so aggressive. And then they start getting up. So what's cool about them is that they do hit each other, and you can trick them into fighting each other. but it's a little bit tough to do so. Row. Yeah, they have a really deadly moveset. And when they're using the really strong moves, they have a lot of poise. It's good that I upgraded that shield, though. Oh, I love that move. It's so cool. So, that's not the primary target. The primary target is the one without an individual health bar. This is the big one. Ooh, oh, that's a great move. But yeah, their movements are so sudden, but there's still a lot of prediction to it. You know, like, you can tell what they're gonna do. But they're so aggressive, they have such wide, sweeping movements. They're one of the most unique moving enemies in the game. They have such an interesting way of moving around the battlefield. I love these moves. And it's very Artorias influenced, but sometimes they feel cooler than Artorias, honestly. And I do like that they get stunned, because it makes them feel like you're fighting something similar to yourself. Yeah, it's a little bit more hectic on co-op. I actually kind of want Goddard to die so I can duel this guy, but that's just kind of how it goes. Now, I love this. It's just so haunting. I wish I had the music. I usually have the music off, but I wish I turned it back on for this because it's really nice. But just seeing all the will, like now it's the Undead Legion. As in all these soldiers becoming one soldier. Possessing this one body. It's so cool. Good shit. So, we're gonna do a little bit of flash sweat. God, it's gonna die. Oh. Dangerous. Yeah, I wanted that to happen. It's duel time. The lingering fire makes this fight so interesting. This is the part where it's very hard for me to talk about the fight, unfortunately. For pretty obvious reasons. Oh, I love that. It adds just that extra layer of unpredictability. I might die. Ugh, it's so hard to know when to heal. I just need to be, like, at a large percentage of health for just a little while. Yeah, they're scary. I kind of knew that was gonna happen. Like, I knew... Ooh. Imposing. I kind of knew that I wasn't gonna be able to beat him while I was talking about him. That's just the nature of this fight. So I'm probably gonna... I'll turn the music back on, because I'm probably just gonna be quiet while I beat them. Because I really need to focus. I wish that you could just adjust your Estus in a more convenient way. Because I'm not going to go all the way back to the shrine just to do that. But yeah, they are tough. A lot of multitasking involved in fighting them. Artorias is the OG. Pretty sexy. Artorias is a pretty badass guy, yeah. Also seems foreshadowing towards the Soul of Cinder. Yeah, definitely. I can definitely see that. Yeah. For those of you who are here, did you like the stream? Because I've had a lot of fun, despite the lower number, which is okay. I know that I'm not like a big streamer yet, so I'm assuming that the consistency will eventually come. But, and I hope people weren't too disappointed by the fact that I'm totally not going to do DokiDoki for quite a while, because I'm not ready. How much health do they have? A lot. But whatever. I'm just gonna see if I can get one of them. Nope. I'm fucked. Okay, you were supposed to target them. Oh no, I'm gonna waste all my health! Fuck, I really can't waste my Estus on this. Like, it's just not a viable option to do so. Let's, the hitboxes in this game are so good. Like, in any other game, that would have hit me. But because the sword itself did not touch me, it didn't. It's good shit. Yeah. Are there any actual players around here? It's weird. But there are none. Don't quite get that. Okay. I'm probably going to be less talkative this time. To be honest, I'm not ready to experience any more DokiDoki. Yeah, tell me about it. I like the stream, yeah. Hearing you talk about game design is always so great. Yeah, I have a lot of fun doing this. Might look up the good ending, though. I did. It helps, but not enough. I guess is the best way to put it. Because it effectively undoes all the bad stuff, but, I mean, you still see it all, and it's... For me, it very negatively affected me. So, I cannot unsee what I saw. But yeah, okay. Yes, you can backstab them. I love how they will attack each other, or... I don't know. It's just such an interesting fight. Oh, that was sneaky. That's another thing, like, they can change who they target while attacking. So that can really catch you off. Thank God I upgraded the shield, by the way. Oh, I love that. I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it. I hate it, but I love it. Oh, God. Please home in a little bit. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, you have to be really careful about wasting your stamina fighting these guys. It can really kill you very quickly. Damn. Their combos, man. Brutal, brutal, brutal. And you have to watch out for the ones reviving. Because they could be any of these bodies. The cool thing is you can stun them by parrying them at the right time, or like blocking at the right time with a dagger. Like if they hit you with the dagger, they will bounce off. This moment is a lot more impactful with music. Okay, risky situation here. Gonna try to buff. Oh man. Absolutely brutal. So powerful. Gotta be really patient here. It's so hard to know where to be, because unlike a lot of bosses, you're just never safe. Like, there is no safe distance. It's scary to be close, it's scary to be far. Which I love. I love that about these guys. Such a beautiful moveset, the animation, man. I love it. Oh. It's cool because it's like they're very similar to you. I love fighting things that are just very similar to the player. Whoa! Ooh. Ooh. Oh. Man, that is a really good fight. That is such a that is such a great fight. God. Oh God, and just the atmosphere of that fight because of all the bodies and the music and the incredible animation. The gimmick of the first round of tricking them into fighting each other. The fact that any of these bodies can rise, adding a lot of variability. Like, it's a fight that can catch you off guard even if you've beaten it like 20 times, which I probably have. I don't know. it's a great fight. It's one of the best fights that Miyazaki's ever made. It's definitely not one of the hardest, but that's not how I really measure what the best ones are. It's a really, really good fight. Love it, love it, love it. I'm curious what your favorite fights are in chat. Because that is very high up. I don't know if it's the ultimate favorite, but it's very high up. Also, we get to get their armor now, which is one of my favorite sets. So we're going to at least get the body piece, because that's my favorite part. Then we might help someone with co-op in this area. And then I might call it a night. I might want to go a little bit longer. Good job, MC. It's good shit. It's a really good fight. Very, very high in my rankings. Like the boss fights in this particular Dark Souls are a lot better than the other ones in my mind, just as a rule. I mean, not all of them are great, but just in general, it's... Hey! I love you. Gotta be tsundere about the girl, I know. It's not like I care about the wench, but, you know, I mean, I just... Be nice to her. Okay? Oh, vitality. Vitality, 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 vitality. Need a lot more vitality. So I can wear no armor. Fashion souls. All the individual pieces I'm wearing are cool, but they have no chemistry. Love that. Love it, love it, love it. Do I have... I don't even know what I was going to look for now. Oh, so close. I'm a magical man. I don't want to wear that. Now that's a pretty cool look. Oh, I have these. Let's switch things up a little bit then. Nah, can't wear those yet. Okay, this is really funny. You know how this is like a really edgy build? Like the Fallen Knight trousers are really popular among the edgy builds. And the description is just trouser of an order of fallen knights, held beneath leather boots and drab cloth using a knot of rope and bandage. They are dampened and indelibly stained with the misery of flight. It's the armor of a coward who pissed himself and ran away. I love that. I think that the other piece is even more, like, explicit about it. Met untimely deaths. I feel like someone said soiled for one of them, but I don't know. It is a cool set, though. Cool. Yeah, that looks a lot better. Definitely gotta level up my health next, though. There's no one near this area that I can help. Where is everybody? Let's wait for a little bit around the perimeter. I do want to do a little bit more, just not much more, you know. Because it's getting there. I gotta eat din din. Whoa! Oh, I've been going for a good 3 hours. It was definitely fun. Thank you to you guys who did show up. It was very cool. That's a nice loadout. I like the hood. Helps a lot. The Sorcerer's hood goes really well with a lot of outfits, I've noticed. Gotta get that Fashion Souls. I'll put down my thing. There's a lot of people need help with these guys. Hopefully someone will actually come. But from what I've heard, armor in this game is strictly Fashion Souls. The amount of damage you take is hardly affected as long as you are wearing armor. It was vastly improved, fortunately. But it's still a little bit true, you know? Like, it doesn't matter that much. My cape is clipping really weirdly. There we go. That's looking a little bit better. But they did update the game. For the longest time, that was true, that it barely mattered what armor you were wearing, but now, like, the difference between heavy armor and light armor is pretty substantial, thankfully. Which is good, because since they removed poise, at least poise as it existed before, there was basically no major advantage to wearing super heavy armor. So now the medium and heavy armor actually is pretty well balanced, finally. Can this guy follow me into this room? Just kind of curious. Yes, he can. Let's take a chance to see if we can get some Black Knight armor. Do I have any rusted coins that aren't the golden one? Because I want to save that. Nah. I do like being able to do this. Open up with a good snipe. I have better arrows, right? Feather. Large. That's what we can spend the rest of these souls on. See how good my shield is against you. Damn! Well, I guess I would have just completely broken my guard otherwise, so... Still better. Yeah, when you play well, those guys are not that hard. But man, do they hurt if they do get a hit in. I really wish I would be summoned, but maybe it's not going to happen. Maybe we'll do a little bit of... I don't want to dive into Karthus, because it's a very different place. And like this, I have a lot to say about it. But I would like to go for like another 30 minutes or so. So I'm kind of conflicted as to what I want to do. Ideally, I really do want to just get summoned here and help out someone. But it doesn't look like there's a lot of people who are embered and want help. There's a bunch of people around there, so I'm going to leave mine there. That's really convenient that they added that. I love that you can see when there's a bunch of players in an area. Unlike a certain Zelda game. Where I was, I hadn't collected a lot of different kinds of armor. In Breath of the Wild, I don't know how much it mattered. It seems like it does matter quite a bit. Hopefully someone will summon us, and that could be how we end it. Sadly, I do not control that. Oh, there's an item there, but I dare not approach that way. Don't scream. Okay, good. Nice. Just for the people who haven't seen it, I'm actually gonna make this guy attack. but I will weaken him a little bit. So, look at these movements. I just hate it. They're so hard to... Look at those moves. Like, if I had a weaker shield, I would be in a lot of trouble against these things. Like, their moves are just so hard to read because of their animation. Like, they're cool looking, but they're just obnoxiously designed. I don't know. I'm really not a fan. What is, like, for you guys, what is your, like, least favorite enemy in the Souls series that you've ever seen? I am curious to hear that. Because, like, those guys aren't that bad because they're designed to be eliminated before they get crazy. But once they get crazy, it's like, you're not that fair. Let's get some front row seats. Very good. Enjoying the show. Fight Club. Go to Carthage, talk about all the things. I want to save it for next time, which will possibly be Saturday. I usually like to do silly stuff on Saturday, because Corey's available. You guys are both approaching me, aren't you? You're scaring the shit out of me right now. Hold on. Headshot? Yeah. Whoa! Okay, Dark Souls. That scared me. That was the real survival horror. Whoa! Whoa! I don't like you. I don't like your moveset. Oh my god. Whiffed backstabs on these guys are brutal because they move around so much. Ugh. Brutal, brutal, brutal. Oh, I could have riposted him. I don't think it was close enough, though. Oh. God. A lot of the movements are also very sudden and don't have a lot of wind-up. Look, like those whiffed backstabs, man. Absolutely brutal. That's like the first time I've ever actually backstabbed him. God. Dark Mask. Gonna be the ultimate edge. Oh, look at that edge. Look at that edge. Nothing personal, kid. Whoa. I love it when you get covered in blood and, like, just completely changes your skin tone. Fucking finally. Good. This is how I wanted to end the stream. I always want to do co-op on each stream at some point. Okay, don't fucking do a connection error on me right now. This is never gonna happen again. Come on, please. Oh, it totally glitched out. For fuck's sake. Yeah, it didn't work. Happens a lot lately. Let me check the Ember locations again. We might just end it there. Because the Abyss Watchers are a pretty good place to stop. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed listening to me complain about a fucking swamp for like 3 hours. Because that's most of what this was. Like, it started out with me gushing about how much I love Crucifixion Woods, because I love that place. One of my favorite areas in the game. I think that the level design in Dark Souls is better. You know? Like, I think that the individual levels are better in Dark Souls 3 than they are in anything else. And I mean, in any other Souls game, that is. I think that the structure of the world and how it's all interconnected is really pretty disappointing, because you have to do everything in such a linear way. You can't do things in a weird order. So if there's like certain pieces of equipment or spells that you want for a particular build, you just kind of have to play through a bunch of the game just to get it on a new character. It's really obnoxious. So, just not an ideal situation. The best piece is a fully upgraded armor. Yeah, it's different in this game because you can't upgrade armor. Your fave is the dancer of the Boreal Valley. She's really cool. Very, very cool looking. Oh my god, these asthma attacks are driving me crazy. The breathing. Ugh. She's a very cool fight. I've actually never beaten her. I've never even gotten that far. I've just kind of helped people on co-op by accident. It's really funny at the beginning of the game because people can just kind of summon you and you're like, oh, we're gonna fight Vort, right? And no, they just drag you to the fucking dancer. It's great. I love it. I think the toxic blobbed hollows in the painted world are the worst. Just really hard situation to deal with. Yeah, I think that's true. Because you're in such an isolated part of the game, and you might not be prepared for that shit. I can understand that. I hate this fucking temple. Where's the key? I can only say Samurai Jack because he broke my will to play. That's a pretty good reason. Yeah, the dogs in these games are brutal, man. Especially in this game, because they teleport after you, which I really disagree with. I would not do that if I was making this. It's very obnoxious. They're way too, like, they just pursue you forever. Okay. I think we're good for now. We're clearly not going to get summoned for some reason. Maybe no one likes my stupid hat. I don't know. They judge my green hair. Maybe it would be easier if I was a waifu. Who knows? I do seem to get summoned more when I play as a female character. Sure, that's a coincidence. But it was a swamp temple in the Majora's Mask video that I really disliked. But anyway, I think I'm going to wrap it up. It was a lot of fun. Kind of an awkward stream, just because not a lot of people showed up. But the people who did show up, y'all are awesome. It was a lot of fun. I hope you continue to support my little shit show. I don't know. I just had a lot of fun with this. I love just chilling and talking about game design. It was a lot less funny than my usual stuff and much more analytical, but I don't know. That's just kind of the mood I was in. I think it's because I'm still in shock from DokiDoki. I will probably return to my funny self shortly, but Jesus, man, that shit got to me. Bye, Fortis. Always good to see you. Thank you for the bits today, as always. But yeah, I love you, and don't forget, Blue loves you too.